games.
I really feel like, especially in Fearless, well, it's game 2 Fearless, so maybe it doesn't really mean a lot, but when you go into later in the draft, the teams that are weaker, they start prioritizing the counter picks.
I don't think we're doing draft. You were looking at me. I don't think we're not. It's the casters. They did an okay job, so we're gonna give them another try.
Yeah, thank you. I'll take okay job. I appreciate you guys giving a simulation of BDS comms by just yapping for way too long. Thank you, as we are now hot dropping into draft. Ezreal, Orianna taken out, so some stable options. Nidalee will also remain banned. BDS, again, built an early lead despite a difficult level 1. We're able to relatively cleanly, although some few hiccups here and there, close the game out.
And an important win for 113, I'd say, because he got to show that even on a tank jungler, he can still have creative early pathing, he can generate a lead, and he can show some restraint in the later stages of the game, which I love to see. So I'm curious to see now if they're going to put 113 kind of back on the Xin Zhao, or if now they're saying, okay, you proved yourself on the Skarner, go play Sejuani.
Ooh. What is it going to be? More tanks? Is that what winning has earned him?
Sometimes that's how life is.
Hey man, we've been winning a lot on the tank junglers. Maybe you can maybe just play Maokai, Sejuani, Skarner for the rest of your career. It's happened to Mini, a great jungler. Ashe, the final ban here. Okay, interesting. SK, first loss of the season. How do they adapt? How is the mental, the individual performances in game? What does the draft look like? For now, Maokai locked in, and your prediction was apt, Mr. Spectra. Hey, we won on a tank jungler. No need. I mean, Zyra's up, but
no need to make it complicated.
No, it's not. Let's keep it simple. You know, things were working out well. Let's just get some tree in there.
Yeah, but a lot of those like poke options alongside this Maokai have been taken out. Would like to see here the Corki taken from SK. So now the Ashe is banned out, Ezreal's banned out, Varus and Jhin are out. So Corki's kind of Corki and Kalista, I'd say, are like the two strong laning ADCs that are left. But I don't really, like, Ice hasn't been a big Kalista enjoyer. So I would probably just presume to see him maybe play some hyper carry into this or some more utility. But most of the utility ADCs are out.
I mean, hasn't played any Kalista this year. Of course, it is a highly contested champion, but I think utility and hyper carries are what he's known for. Tank jungle will meet tank jungle, so SK taking a step back from their aggressive counter in the previous game with the Lilia. And we'll just match fire with fire here.
Yeah, their comp last game I think was, as we spoke about, quite hard to pull off, and you could see it in some of the finer details where the team fights is like all that needs to happen for SK team fighting to fall apart is one ultimate misses and then everything goes haywire.
Yeah, it was definitely tricky, but now in a much better position.
Gwen is still open.
So did I.
But still, we have the Jax conundrum. Now you have Sejuani Jax, potential side on the SK, which could be a great answer into this Gwen.
Okay, what if
it's Gwen mid, or was that what you were going to say?
Wow, I was going to think about, was Gwen jungle still playable? It looked awful.
Where would the Maokai go?
Support.
Yeah, you're cooking.
Look, sometimes this is your brain on flex picks. You know, once you consider.
To be fair, though, that would be pretty crazy if you put the Gwen jungle, because it should be great into Sejuani.
All I'm saying.
But Maokai kind of ruins that.
I'm describing a very wonderful dish. It's a Michelin star dish. Are BDS looking to make a Michelin star dish? I don't know. Last game, it was kind of stock standard.
Are you a Michelin star chef?
No, I'm not.
See, no. How can you make a Michelin star dish?
I'm the guy sitting on the couch watching, you know, MasterChef going, oh yeah, he clearly messed up the batter on that one. That's my role.
Ooh, Akali. So it's going to be probably Akali into this Gwen, which is another counter pick. I think we saw Mirwin play this into Broken Blade on Gwen. I don't fully remember, but Mirwin had some good success on it. And it's a pick that you can always look to one-shot the Gwen, and you always deal all your damage inside of her W, while also having the mobility to dodge all of her spells. But I think I would have liked to see the Jax more, as it just provides a lot more in the team fights, and it's a lot easier to execute, especially against this Maokai, where all this Maokai really needs is to W the Akali, and then you can just one-shot her.
It's fair. I do think that Gen X clearly has a lot of faith in himself and his ability to execute these more niche counter options. Played the Yasuo last week, now playing the Akali this week, chasing game 1 as well. So see where that is going to end up going. I like it also into the MF, this immobile champion. A little bit more dive threat, a little bit more access to Ice, who's MF and Jhin not the same champion at all, but obviously both can do a lot of damage without having to get into harm's way.
That's true. And also now it makes me wonder if this Corki could actually be a flex pick into mid, because you don't really want to pick another AP mid here, because then you have kind of a full AP topside with Akali and Sejuani doing a lot of magic damage as well. So you'd rather, ideally you'd have a Yone here, but Yone is already out.
Thank you, Fearless.
So curious to see what SK decides to go for.
I will say that Corki Flex is like, how do you want your eggs? You know, you're getting eggs either way, but it's scrambled poached. It's kind of all the same.
That's a huge difference. What are you saying?
What do you what?
How you have your eggs? That's a huge difference. Like, are you telling me boiled egg and like scrambled eggs are the same?
Not the same, but they're slightly different. But they're still eggs. You're not reinventing the wheel here. You're not. It's not completely different.
You're wrong, but it's okay.
Corki, I'm just saying Corki's the most boring flex pick. That's my point. Let's get out of food metaphors. Let's get straight to the point of the matter.
Okay.
Nautilus locked in. We'll just move on. Clearly, we're on opposite sides of this debate that I made up on the spot. Tristana, Lucian. So a lot of bot lane focus. Also, Kalista taken away.
I mean,
respecting the Corki that could go mid.
One of the sad things for BDS, however, is the fact that the Rel is out, which you'd really like to pair this map up with. But instead, it's going to be the Alistar who can kind of tank up this Nautilus engage and this Sejuani engage, while also being really good at peeling this Akali. But he doesn't quite provide the same kind of wombo combo potential that a Rel would, that you'd love to have with the MF. Ooh.
Nuke.
This would be a crazy
classic.
Casio. I think Taliyah is kind of the same, but
okay.
I mean, he kind of needs to go AD here. I mean, I guess he could go. I mean, if he goes AP, this is a very heavy AP. I just thought about it. It's Taliyah, Maokai, Gwen, full AP topside.
I'm pretty sure that you can just go full MR here.
Yeah.
As someone like Boukada, I'd feel fine about that. MF can take over fights, but you have so many tools to dive her and take her out of the exchange. Once she's gone, full MR will feel pretty solid.
And if they answer with an AP mid here, it's going to be kind of double full AP topside for both teams.
How much magic damage do you want? Yes.
In my head, this is not good. But
you know what?
If both teams do it, maybe it is good.
Yeah.
And Gwen does a lot of true damage, and Seju does some physical damage.
Who are we as commentators if we can't just let...
But Corki also does a lot of magic damage. I think it's bad. I think it's too much magic damage for both teams. But on the bright side, there's no real bruiser in this game. That's the biggest thing. Like, imagine if SK had like an Aatrox. He goes Maw, he's unkillable, and can just clean up every fight. But there's no champion in this game that can really do that. Sure, Sejuani can get some magic resist, but she's gonna take a while to kill anyway. It's not gonna be a raid boss just because she takes a bit to kill. So it's okay in that sense to be this heavy on the AP. And you have the true damage from Gwen.
We'll see.
But it's a bit like I'm like coping for them.
And I appreciate that. Maybe they'll need that coat, maybe they won't need that coat. Maybe we'll learn something together as we get into our second game of this series. Looking at both compositions, keeping our eye, as always, Maokai Taliyah, lethal combo around mid-jungle. But the Sejuani Akali, can they shut down that Gwen? Bot lane, will it be explosive? The Nautilus stronger in those early levels. A lot to keep an eye out for as we get ready for game 2.
Let's play a game, Drakos. Guess how many Merc threats will be in this game?
Is 10 an option?
10 is an option. You can say 10.
I think 8. I'm gonna say 8.
I'm gonna say 7.
You're gonna say 7?
Yeah.
All right, we'll see who's correct. You can vote along at LEC on X or any other social media platform. I won't see it till after the cast, but you will have the knowledge that you were right.
True. You can just do it in your head.
Yeah.
Welcome to Summoner's Rift.
Okay, so we have no flashes top lane. Is an excellent start to this game too.
And
from
grasp
an
on the Gwen. That's quite interesting. So Relevant really wants to get tanky here in this top lane matchup and try to survive the Akali.
I mean, you did say there's no Aatrox, but Gwen is a champion with a lot of naturally built-in sustain.
That's true, but she can't really, like, the problem is that AP champions don't have access to a really good MR item.
Is the best, probably the best MR item in the game.
Yeah, like you can go Banshee, but it's like Banshee this game isn't really even that good.
Not good.
Yeah.
Maybe see some early MR. Wouldn't be surprised to see some Mercs from all of the solo laners. As SK once again rinse and repeating these early jungle strategies.
Loopy decides not to go for the hook here. I don't think, for me, the lanes this game that are the most exciting is definitely this top lane matchup. Oh, but 113 looks like he wants to invade Raptors here. One of the big strengths of Maokai is this Q smite damage. Does insane damage to it. That is like
113. I respect that both of these players, when they have a slightly more favorable circumstance at level 1,
they just
immediately get aggressive and go for it.
Wow. And this feels great for 113. He doesn't even have to burn the smite. So he can just continue going here and go for the red buff as well.
Relevant going all in. Losing out a bit on the trade, but goes back in with the skip and slash. Again, the energy early levels is a big limiter for Gen X in those extended fights, even when he can proc the passive.
And this is why Gwen is back in the meta, right? Because now she can do this E-start again, and she can just spam it for trades. Although the trades didn't actually end up going that favorably for Relevant. Now he gets, I mean, you can see it, right? He just continues to be able to E forward and get good trades. And they could even look for a dive onto Gen X here. He might stay level 1.
He has to be really fast. 1-1-3, it's a bit of a split call here. Gen X does take over to level 2.
He's too hard now. Gen X is going to be able to take the W level 2 and then buy so much time under tower.
Yeah, but even forcing the W maybe feels okay for Relevant. Stops any potential trade back. Nah,
it's a bit too scary. And towers do too much damage these days.
Accepting in a Reeker control mage battle in the mid lane.
Now the question is, can Boukada look to cheese some of 1-1-3 spot camps? It looks like he's going to be able to maybe sneak out this red buff.
Nuke running out of mana rapidly. Both top lane and mid lane are an absolute fist fight, and pressure is in favor of BDS. This is a sneak. Bot lane pressure is what's allowing Boukada to get this done. It's Loopy. Do we have the wave in a slightly more favorable position?
Curious to see if Boukada is able to go for more here. He ended up using the smite on the red buff, but it's a bit surprising that 1-1-3 didn't think to just wrap back around into his bot side to defend his bot side camps. He just decides that it's fine, I suppose.
I guess spent a little bit too much time laying in wait for that topside gank. It was only a few seconds, but wanted to just maintain the clear speed he had, even if it means not having that camp advantage. He does tick over to level 4. Scuttle Crab traded for Scuttle Crab, and the map still divided.
He is still one camp up, as he was able to pick up the Krugs and Sejuani was not. And maybe now, with the fact that he didn't waste any time, he can... Oh, look to gank top here. I thought he would go for the respawning Raptors, but looks like he wants to punish Gen X on this.
If Gen X burns the Shuriken flip, this is pretty easy. Otherwise, it's tough. The Shroud.
I think Irrelevant can just start fighting Gen X here and try to make him burn spells, and then 1-1-3 can wrap in from behind. As Gen X probably feels a little bit safe with this ward.
He's no longer safe, however. Exhausted, Irrelevant now going in. 1-1-3 committing. Gwen immune as Gen X tries to get a bit more damage down. Irrelevant trying to find the snip on a Gen X. Nice Shuriken flip, but still, that's first blood for BDS.
And that's the cost of not having flash. As soon as you use that Akali W, 1-1-3 is behind. He's ready to punish. And this is the creativity that has gotten 1-1-3 so many of the early game leads that we talked about last game, and one of the big strengths of him. But we have Loopy here.
Hook connects, follow-up CC there. Reeker, good follow-up damage. Nuke still has his flash, holding on as long as he can. Ignite ticking. Doesn't even burn it. 96 HP, walks away, hits him with the thumbs up. With 1-1-3 on the way, he might even stick around for the next wave. This is insanely risky.
It's good discipline not to burn the flash, but catching this wave is very scary. All it takes is one Hwei spell, and he could end up going down.
Waiting for the Severing Bolt. Is Reeker going to get punished? Reeker desperate to get the wave in. But 1-1-3 is right here. They'll spot Reeker. Parus coming in as well. Nuke has to be careful not to overstay. It could be in trouble. Combo there. Easy kill pickup. Solo lanes for BDS. Finding massive advantage.
It's a disaster for SK. Reeker knows that Alistar is roaming from bot side, so he feels safe walking into the top side. But there he is again. 1-1-3 with his creativity. He finds another play, and it's 2-0 for BDS.
Why do you keep crying? All right, the 1-1-3 creativity, but for now, in bot lane, Ice and Parus. He's getting a bit aggressive, and 1-1-3 continuing to find these angles. Gen X isolated 1v1, pretty far behind on items. Level 6 to level 6. Gen X forced to dash away. SK at the very least are going to get this Drake, and BDS not in a great position to get something else on the other side of the map, so they might just try to fight this, but they're at a man disadvantage. Can't quite see. Nuke is level 6. Can ult into the fight. Parus only level 5. It could be tough. 1-1-3 in the midst of everybody. The lockup, the CC is there. 1-1-3 set now to fall. The flash forward into his teammates. That is not what you wanted. 200 health or more taken away from every member of BDS. Right as you praise him, it all starts to fall apart.
1-1-3, what was that? He has the Hwei ult on him and flashes into his whole team. No, it ends up being only one member going, no, 2 members going down. So it's not the end of the world, but still. 1-1-3, you know, you get some, you lose some.
Yeah, the creativity is there. Not always successful.
Boukada looking for a top lane gank here, but he's going to be spotted out. Now it's a grub fight as both teams posture to contest.
Neither side got the dragon, but 113 is here to match. Relevant first move. Mid lane prio contested. Nuke relatively low. The Reeker, of course, with no ultimate does make it pretty hard to finish a kill.
It's going to be grubs just going over to the side of BDS with that top and mid prio. Feeling pretty good about that one. And as you said, due to the fight on Drake, nobody actually got Drake, which means BDS could look to be able to now play for that as well. And a huge top lane lead here, with Jackspectra being forced to recall and no TP. And demolish for the side of Irrelevant.
This top lane matchup, so volatile. You talked about the potential of this counter pick, but when you start to fall behind in this matchup, it's just so difficult. It was that single use of the Shroud, the patience from 113 that has put Jackspectra so far behind.
I feel like that's been, like, in their game against Fnatic as well. It was Jackspectra trying to do a creative Yasuo counter pick into Oscarin and Snar that he got solo killed and ended up struggling a lot in. And I think I would like to see Jackspectra more just go for these kind of like easier counter picks, you know? You don't need an Akali, you could just have a Jax, where it's like, yeah, you're not going to stomp him, but you're just going to scale up and be as useful, which I much prefer rather than this very volatile ignite exhaust. We need to fist.
Yeah. And it's clear that Jackspectra wants to be that kind of player, wants to leverage these picks. And in game one, to be fair, the Jace pick did pay off. They did find some early leads from it. It just didn't transition into anything more meaningful. But Irrelevant very rapidly becoming a problem as this fight breaks out. Ulti in from the Hwei. Keduii free firing. 113 goes forward and will get taken down. Ulti over the wall from Ice. The Loopy still walking away as the Drake falls for SK.
And again, it's a mistake from 113 as he really wants to contest this Drake, but his team is not in position. They're not around him. When he gets hooked, he ends up just going down, and in a desperation, BDS try to get a kill back onto Loopy, but they just don't have the damage.
What's your Twitter handle so that people can flame you for catch cursing 113?
No, I will not say it. But how's it my fault?
Just saying, super sports superstition goes a long way. Follows us to esports. And all I'm saying is this didn't happen last game.
I was praising him last game as well.
You praised him a lot more this game. So.
Maybe. That's because he did it last game.
Sure.
Ooh, Loopy is on a crazy flank here.
I like this. This is bold, trying to get Jackspectra out of the little bit of a hole that he has.
The problem is
900 gold lead.
Immune.
Hook. Jackspectra taking his time. Patience on the Shroud. Only level 5 now uses it.
Very well played by Relevant. Dodges out on the Akali E and immunes the Nautilus hook. It's so hard to punish this Gwen pick, especially when the Akali doesn't win 1v1. Like, you can send members up to help her, but Gwen is immune.
Yeah. It's really tricky, right? Especially against the Nautilus, too.
Yeah.
One of those situations where K'Sante always feels so broken because his W makes him unstoppable, but Gwen Miss does something very similar in this kind of matchup where it's, if they want to shut her down, you're so reliant on those long-range Sejuani engages. You're reliant on Akali landing that Shuriken flip, and so much of it is just mitigated by the mist.
Yeah, I do think Sejuani can interact a lot more, as if she just gets a passive proc. Then all Akali needs to do is auto-attack at least, but especially when it's that Nautilus or the Hwei, it's like, can't really do anything.
Nope. If you're in range to do something, that is a very bad sign for how the team fight is going. Reeker and Loopy grouping up to try to get this mid push out. 3 minutes till Chemtech. We'll see what the soul spawn will be. 40 seconds to the next grub spawn.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a grub fight once again. I think the side of SK really doesn't want to give 6 grubs over to this Gwen that is already winning lane and with Demolish. Now Riftmaker finished up. But I think it's hard for SK to really fight this. If Gwen can have ultimate up for this grub spawn, she's going to be so damn strong.
See Boukada close to taking over to level 8, but still behind. It's Ice and Parus getting the push out. Early lifesteal for Ice. Pursuit of that Bloodthirster does mean that any of the poke that Reeker had landed earlier ultimately does not matter at all. Okay, SK first on the objective. Set to be a 4v4, but Nuke is recalling. Can get there pretty quickly with the Weaver's Wall.
He's going to look to TP in, I think, just on the big ward. And they just started up.
They don't have push topside either.
Irrelevant can kind of 1v2 here and just keep them at bay.
Ready for the full-on 5v5. Flashes up across the board for SK, except for the Akali, who does not have one. Same story for BDS. BDS being pushed back. Loopy, decent flank, but they're just going to try and turn and burn. He doesn't even get a chance to proc the Aftershock. He's just instantly deleted. In the meantime, Irrelevant trying to 2v1 here. A single grub. All that's left. BDS already got 4. They're going to get 1 more as well. That's 5. The Gwen still standing. Irrelevant dashing back into 1-1-3. Count up is Jenax. Down he goes. Ice on a killing spree. Complete and total disaster. The Weaver's wall coming in. Rika running for his life. Boukada taken out as well. BDS demolishing the fight.
And it's clean from BDS. They immediately turn on the first target and they use the Alistar combo in combination with the Taliyah beautifully to get pick after pick after pick. And once this Alistar ends up falling here, it all collapses for SK. You can see Loopy tries to go for a flank, but he's so isolated from the rest of his team. Beautiful combo by Parus and Nuke to get onto him, and then 1-1-3 onto Jenax. Jenax gets chunked. Irrelevant is able to 1v2 because he's so far ahead. And then it's another combo from Parus onto Jenax, into the Taliyah combo. And then 1-1-3 is going to say, I want more, get him. And they get him. Beautiful.
Thank you. They certainly do get him. Look, that was pretty disastrous. And this is the downside of the Nautilus, right? Is you have that reliable point engage ult, but you're not the Alistar. You can't just immediately ult at the first sign of CC and prevent so much of that damage. It is possible for you to just get 100 to 0'd. And now it's only going to get easier for BDS as their gold lead continues to grow. 2.1k in their favor, 13 minutes into the game. They did get 5 grubs as well, which will only make that Gwen more frustrating to deal with.
Rika is quite far ahead here with the completed Deathfire Torch, but it doesn't really feel like it matters that much as the MF has the BT, the Gwen is so tanky, you can see it. Now she's building towards Merc Treads as well. Let's count the Merc Treads count. 1, 2, wait, there's a Ninja Tabi.
There's a Swifties and a plated steel caps.
Plated steel caps, Keduii, come on.
Oh, he said 7. Rika caught out. Flick comes in. That's all the gold lead. That's the only strong position on the map. Deleted. The ulti's still going. Ice now ready with the setup. Just a few seconds away from the ultimate. Keduii waiting over the wall. Lays down a rocket, but not much else. BDS pushing in bot side, getting that pick, looking to knock down this tower.
Yeah, great play from BDS here. They're able to shut down the one member of SK that is actually strong in Rika. And now they're going to get this bot tower as well. And wow, BDS are looking pretty damn good.
Definitely are. But for SK, I mean, this is tough. Game 1 was much closer than this. Game 2 has been complete slaughter thus far. Have to hope that they can rally in this mid game, find some angle to come back. Because we were hyped, right? They beat Fnatic.
Yeah.
We wanted to know how much of this was them outplaying, how much of this was Fnatic fumbling. But if you go from such a monumental upset into a lackluster performance, people are not going to give you that benefit of the doubt when you're such a rookie lineup.
So was Fnatic the problem, is what you're saying?
Yes. That's what it's starting to look like. And again, that's confirmation. That's, that's not fair to the context of the game, but in general, people like to keep it simple. So I think that is the conclusion a lot of people will make.
Well, Fnatic are playing today against KC, so we'll really get to see.
And KC did beat BDS pretty handedly.
But then if KC loses to Fnatic and BDS beats SK, oh, a little wall hit from Nook.
Then we have the circle of... The circle is coming back. I'll just leave it at that. Rika, nice fear. Gonna poke damage down. This is a very hard 1v1 to win. He's dead. 1-1-3's on the way. Threaded volley to finish. And again, caught on a side lane.
Yeah, it's rough. Rough for the side of SK. And it's like, especially when it's your one Fed member this way and he can't even do anything. What hope do you really have? I think they really need to get a... Oh, it's a good cancel from Loopy at least, to get a bit of tempo. But I think they need some really good Sejuani engage. Ice doesn't have cleanse, so maybe Sejuani can engage on mid, and it's happening.
Hey, flash out from Ice.
Great minds think alike.
It's like you can see the future. Now they just need to do it one more time.
Yeah.
When Ice doesn't have flash, he could be more vulnerable in the coming team fight, but BDS already have mid-prio and are set up on the objective first, so it looks like SK will concede this one as well.
Yeah, especially now you already used that Sejuani ulti. You did get the flash out of it, which feels good, but with Corki no mana, no Sejuani ult, you definitely have to give over this Herald. I think that what I want to see from SK is when it comes to this Drake spawn at 3 minutes, I think they should try to cross-map it for gold, and before that Drake spawns, they should just try to look for individual picks and numbers advantages, because equal numbers fights, I don't think they go in.
you're not going to win.
Yeah.
The only gold lead that's close is the mid lane gold lead, and that's still a 600 difference, and there's a Seraphs there. So that is a hard target to pick off. Nuke is not an easy option. Herald will be used mid lane. Okay,
6 smart threats so far. I'm just going to say that.
You want 7 or 8, brother. Except nothing else.
Gen X is going to get me.
Ulti coming in from 113. Setup is good. Flick is good. Follow-up kill is instantaneous. SK asleep at the wheel. Control ward covering that Raptors pit for BDS, paying dividends.
It's just unplayable for SK. You can see it. If they ever try to match numbers, all you need is a little... Oh, Nuke.
Nuke. Another flick. Reeker's going to die again. Root
Does have
there.
flash.
Is flashing out, following up with an ult of his own. Uses the Severing Bolt probably for a bit of extra poke, but just gets the Seraphs.
He's going to be able to survive, but it's flash now down on Reeker, and it's just so easy for this BDS comp to play. You can just have the Maokai ulting, and then layer the Taliyah combo and this MF ult on top of it.
No.
And it's just always going to work.
Definitely pretty rough. And again, Ice also quietly just amassing a humongous gold lead. Some of that kills, some of that CS and plates. 4-0-1, 1.7k lead. The Gwen, still a huge problem. And again, you mentioned it. When you have this kind of lead, you get objective setup first. And then on top of that, you have this incredibly powerful Maokai ultimate and stronger champions.
Yeah, the thing is, like, how BDS could throw is if they go too deep, right? But when you have this Maokai ultimate, you can just put it down, and then if it hits, you MF ult, and if it doesn't,
you walk away.
No biggie.
For Parus as well on the Alistar, he's a tough target to pick off, especially with the Celestial opposition.
SK can't really get any form of control. That's the problem. Like, ideally, you'd really want to be able to push out one side and then generate a numbers advantage that way, but Irrelevant is going a bit deep here. But he's so strong, I don't know if they can even...
Get rid of poke. Irrelevant just has to eat that damage. Oh. Dashing away, the flash burn from Loopy. Desperate to keep that one going. They get the ulti at least, but now it's Reeker who's going to be in trouble, and I think it might be time for the same exact play we saw mid. 113 can just ult to zone away. Might not even be forced to do it.
Yeah, they don't even need to ulti. Wow.
It's 19 minutes, it's a 6k gold lead.
Yeah.
Right? I just don't know what the angle is here. For SK, it's so hard.
Yeah, Gen X is here, but I think he's going to be forced out.
Weaver's Wall comes out. Reeker again, the target. Split fight though. BDS could lose on the bottom side of the fight. Nuke finding the initial kill onto Reeker. Parus now trying to retreat. Gen X looking for a bit of follow-up, and Parus will get taken down.
Okay, a 1-for-1 for SK as they're able to actually find a 4v5 as Irrelevant was stuck pushing mid lane. But still, it's a 1-for-1 where you get enemy support and your mid lane dies.
Cheers in the studio for SK. I think they need that momentum. I think they need that faith. It's the start of something, potentially, but still a long road. Yeah. Because Nuke, the thing is still only continuing to get further ahead. May even be able to go for the book in this particular game.
The book?
The book. Magi-Eyes. I guess there's a lot of books. I guess you're right. I have to be more specific.
Just those ominous. I mean, it's a good wall here by Nuke. Reeker has no flash. Parus and 113 are a little bit caught to the side, and mostly it's just due to the fact that Gwen is mid lane. If Gwen was here, SK would not be able to do anything, but it's a nice little punish. But now they're going to have to give the Drake. And what you'd really want to see from the side of SK here is that they're able to pressure this top side. But
Reeker,
instead it's Reeker that's caught.
Again. One more combo.
No flash.
No flash. Nuke unstoppable.
Yeah, and that's just a mistake from Reeker, right? He face checks into enemy strong side. He knows they're there on the Drake, but he wants to pick up the blue buff. Gets baited by it. And the problem is SK just doesn't have any response play. They can't pressure the Autocon, can't pressure top tower. You get a little crab, but...
I mean, in a perfect game, or in a perfect level of performance, there's so few plays, is Gen X is rooted up, chain CC there, ulti going after the MF, Gen X forced to retreat, Keduii just desperate to clear the wave, and the tier 2 will fall.
A little bit slow ult there by us. I think if he ults earlier, he could actually take down Gen X, but to be honest, doesn't really matter as you're about to get this tier 2 bot and build up to an 8,000 gold lead.
I mean, how do you keep focus in this game if you're SK?
I think we just saw Reeker lose focus.
100%. I think the last two, maybe even 3 side lane deaths, it's a situation where you know, not to speak to his mental state, I'm sure he can do that on his own, but it does just feel like he's not thinking what the next step ahead.
But it's also difficult when you're like, in this game, he was kind of like the only Fed member. You feel like you should be able to still play like you're strong, but you're not because the map is on fire and you can't go into any bush.
Yeah, and you being strong in your 1v1 matchup stops mattering once you're out of your 1v1 matchup.
Yeah.
1-1-3 might be caught here. Keduii now following. They have to be careful not to overchase into Nuke. Nice start, but Boukada eating a lot of that damage. Not bad for the side of SK. Reeker now here could potentially look to follow up. Irrelevant off to the side, zoning away Gen X. Reeker trying to get an angle to get a bit more damage down. Audicon leash, but it's hitting BDS a decent amount. Gen X dashing over the wall. Nuke now dominating. That's a single kill. SK, do they want to keep going for this? They're down a man, but a lot of blinking health bars on the side of BDS. Nuke half HP, 1 with 3 healing up nicely, and Ice isolated on his lonesome.
Irrelevant is coming.
Relevant looking to herd them. BDS hoping to find the setup. Weaver's wall goes down. Irrelevant trying to find the angle. Parus immediately going to fall up. It's a split fight, but BDS are winning both of them. Irrelevant now on the chase. The needlework making quick work of Keduii. Boukada nowhere to go as the flick back does manage to land, and it's complete and total disaster.
And it's an ace for BDS as they play it nice and slow. They know that they're stronger, and they get the GA Atakan with a 10,000 gold lead. My goodness.
And earlier we said we think the other Otacon is stronger, which in most game stages is.
Yeah.
But in this game state, that might not be the case.
I think they can just go and dive and then end the game. I would like to see them end without getting Nash.
It would be impressive. The BDS scorecard. And for SK, this is not the moment that decides the game, right? Ultimately, they were never favored to win this fight. We could nitpick small micro things, but it is that early game where things fell apart. It is this massive gold deficit that made this fight look so one-sided.
Yeah. I mean, the problem is, like, Gen X ends up falling down, and then you can see, like, I think however BDS plays this, they're always going to come out on head. Like, the fight started with BDS at half HP, and the fight ended with BDS at half HP. Yeah. He said it best.
Yep. GG's.
Did he say easy?
I couldn't hear that.
I think he just said GG, maybe he said GG easy. That would be crazy.
Ease, but I'm not
I feel
sure.
like only noobs say easy, no?
I don't know.
I've never heard a pro player that says GG easy.
The second I got hired by Riot, I stopped all chatting. I decided it was never worth the risk ever again, and I just turned it off.
Would be funny if I said GG easy, but...
Yeah, I don't want to put words into his mouth. People can scrub back and decide for themselves what was said in that moment. BDS hasn't been easy, but it has been very clean. 7-0-8 for Nuke, 6-0-3 for Ice. Irrelevant 3-0-3, 2.2k gold lead. This Akali pick not working out at all.
They can get all inhibs here. Gen X might be in trouble.
Falling. Irrelevant ignoring Gen X completely to just hit the tower. Will finish it in the face of the Akali and is now finally forced to withdraw. So 200 gold back as Loopy is now going to give his life in exchange for very little. Not much else to say. Boukada starting the fight. Nuke. Parus now running. Parus gonna die. Hits the cowbell. He's withdrawing. Guys, like,
I think he said GG easy.
Yeah, just to be clear.
That's crazy.
This is the point of the game where
wow, that's the most
you just gotta
thing I've ever seen, I think.
You gotta call it like you see it. This one is cooked. I'm not trying to be disrespectful to SK, but we're past the point. There's no counterplay left. They're just too far. It's a 24-stack Medjai's, guys.
Parus might go. I don't think I've ever seen someone do that. That's so good.
I like the turnaround. Yesterday was a bit of a rough day, but today he's been having a good one.
Yeah. That's the confidence boost that I think 1-1-3 and Parus really needs, because they're both quite crazy players that really like to push the limits of every play. And I think we've seen them in these two games when things go right, while they're still able to retain some of that discipline, it can really take over games.
Definitely can. Could be the final setup now for Baron. Irrelevant is just split pushing. SK, if they kill 1-1-3 and secure a Baron, we're still 3 or 4 team fights in their favor away from this game swinging back. As this is not going to be good for them. Parus finding the initial knock-up. Loopy locked up. But we'll get the hook out to safety in time.
I think another big problem as well is that I think Irrelevant can eventually make progress on side and maybe get this inhib tower.
I mean, double super waves, it's just really tough to handle. There's so much pressure topside.
Only one super wave, actually.
One super wave. Oh, he's right. Yeah, good call. Missed that. Just assumed they got it. But it was only the tower for that Irrelevant got.
It's going to be the Nash started up here. They don't do it that fast, but...
They're only 2-manning it.
I think Nuke and Parus can kind of 2v5 here. Whoever face checks dies.
Got it going in. SK, last hope, last fight. 8K on the Baron, getting lower. Boukada knocked up, knocked towards the pit. A little bit risky, but BDS just turning their attention now. Ulti unleashed from the MF. Irrelevant on the side. They're desperate to kill this Gwen, but he's still standing. Shield coming in from the lock of the Iron Solari. Genix going back in, but he's exhausted. He's tired. Little ninja and the shutdown coming out as well.
Yeah, you have to think that's going to be game here. It's going to be Gwen recalling, being able to TP back a 4 versus 2. Keduii is going to have to make a miracle to try to hold this.
I think the kid of Corki is just not enough. You need a 4-item Aphelios if you want to turn this one back, but maybe Keduii can get it done. Parus with a quick combo. The answer is no. No, he cannot. It was short-lived. SK completely decimated. BDS can feel good about this. Huge confidence win for them. For SK, you just hope that they can adapt coming into their future series. Hope that this doesn't stymie their momentum too much from that first upset against Fnatic.
It was a very clean game from BDS. Super happy with the glow up from 1-1-3 in Paris. A nice little 2-0 and no real big throws. A little bit messier game 1 while an incredible clean game 2. And 1-1-3 showing that he can carry on tanks too, baby.
That he can. Both games, that was the case. Congratulations to BDS. Game 1 a little bit more tense, but game 2 completely and totally one-sided. KC versus Fnatic. Coming up after this are a match of the week. But in the meantime, vote for your Kia player of the series. 1-1-3, Nuke or Ice.